Lorraine Carter burst through the back door, rain cascading off her coat as thunder cracked above the house. Her breath came in short, sharp bursts. She had just watched a woman with her daughter-in-law's face disappear into a shadowed alley, then returned home to hear the unmistakable sound of a shower running upstairs. Her pulse hammered. It can't be her. It's impossible. Gripping the railing, Lorraine climbed the staircase 2 steps at a time, every creak of the wood echoing like a gunshot. Behind the bathroom door came the hiss of water and a low hum of a familiar tune. The same woman she trailed through the storm was here. "I'm Lorraine." This was the moment her quiet life cracked wide open, when love and betrayal collided and nothing about her family would ever be the same. "Stick around, I think you'll want to hear this." The first crash of thunder came out of a clear sky. It rattled the window panes and jolted Lorraine Carter upright. A wet plate slipping from her fingers and shattering in the sink. For one breathless heartbeat, the entire house felt alive, old pipes groaning, curtains shivering, the faint echo of something she couldn't name. Then the phone rang, not her cell, the landline, the one no one used anymore. The shrill metallic brr ring cut through the dark kitchen like a siren. Lorraine snatched the receiver, glass shards glittering in the sink behind her. "Hello." Her voice came out sharper than she intended. "Mom." The whisper carried a tension she hadn't heard since the night her husband died. "Daniel," her younger son. "Danny, are you okay? What's wrong?" Airport noise swirled around his words, gates calling, final boarding, the rumble of luggage wheels. I don't even know how to say this. You're not going to believe me. Tell me anyway." "I just watched Lana board my flight to Paris," he said, his voice low and tight. "She handed me her passport." "Mom," I'm looking right at her. For a moment, Lorraine thought the line had gone dead. Her mind simply refused the sound. Lana, Mark's wife, her daughter-in-law, the woman who'd kissed Lorraine's cheek goodnight barely an hour ago. "That's impossible," Lorraine said. "She's upstairs right now." As if to prove it, the pipes above her head began to hum. Water thundered through them in a steady, unmistakable rush. The upstairs shower. "I'm telling you," Daniel insisted, his whisper turning urgent. "She smiled at me, Mom." Same coat, same hair, same voice when she said thank you to the flight attendant. "I called her name. She looked straight at me." Lorraine gripped the edge of the counter, staring at the ceiling as the sound of water grew louder, cruelly ordinary. "Maybe it's someone who looks like her. You know how airports are." Daniel's reply was a quiet knife. "I'm a pilot, Mom. I check details for a living. This is Lana." Her passport said Lana Reed. "I'm holding it in my hand." The house seemed to lean in around her, every tick of the clock magnified. Family photos on the wall, Mark and Lana's wedding day, little Noah's first-grade grin, suddenly felt like artifacts from a life she no longer understood. "I'll call you after we're airborne," Daniel said. "Don't tell Mark yet, please, not until we know what this is." The line clicked off. Silence flooded back, thick and unnatural. Upstairs, the shower cut off with a metallic clack. Footsteps crossed the hallway. A door opened. Lorraine's breath caught. The woman who was supposed to be on a plane to Paris was moving through her house. She set the receiver down with trembling fingers and killed the kitchen light, letting the moon paint silver stripes across the tile. Her heartbeat pounded in her ears, loud as the storm outside. Whatever truth waited in the dark, it had already stepped across her threshold. Morning light usually felt like comfort in Lorraine Carter's kitchen, but not today. Sun spilled across the hardwood floors like a silent interrogation, catching every dust mote in midair. She hadn't slept. Her mind replayed Daniel's call in a relentless loop, the thunder, the passport, the certainty in his voice. Across the table, Lana looked as radiant as ever, robe cinched neatly at the waist, hair wrapped in a towel. She poured coffee with her usual practiced grace. "Rough night, Mom. You look pale," she said, her voice soft, almost musical. Lorraine studied her. The skin was the same, flawless porcelain, the easy smile familiar. But something was off. "I'm fine," Lorraine said, forcing a small smile. "Just couldn't sleep." Lana's eyes lingered for a fraction too long, as if measuring that answer. Then she turned toward the sink, humming a tune Lorraine didn't recognize. When Mark came down for breakfast, he kissed his wife's cheek, then pecked Lorraine's forehead. "Long day ahead," he said, checking his watch. 3 client meetings." He barely noticed the silence hanging in the room. Noah bounded in moments later, all gap-toothed grin and backpack straps. "Grandma, can you come to my art show Friday?" "Wouldn't miss it," Lorraine said, hugging him a beat longer than usual. Lana placed a hand on the boy's shoulder. "Eat your cereal before it gets soggy, sweetheart." Her tone was warm, but Lorraine caught a flicker of distraction in her eyes, something that felt almost impatient. Later that afternoon, Lorraine stepped next door to return a borrowed pie dish to her neighbor Mabel Carter. The woman raised a curious eyebrow. You know, Mabel said, wiping flour from her hands, I ran into Lana last night. Funny thing, she walked past my gate around 9, but when I said hello, she just kept going. Didn't even look at me. I thought maybe she didn't hear. 9 o'clock, the exact time Lorraine had heard the shower running. She must have been tired. Lorraine offered quickly, but her voice sounded thin even to her own ears. Mabel tilted her head. Maybe, but she had a different walk, quicker, like she was in a hurry. The comment sat like a stone in Lorraine's chest as she thanked her neighbor and returned home. Over the next 2 days, the oddities multiplied. On Wednesday evening, Lorraine found Lana writing a grocery list with her left hand. For years, she'd been unmistakably right-handed. Lorraine had watched her slice vegetables, sign birthday cards, even tie Noah's shoelaces with that elegant right hand. You're switching sides, Lorraine asked lightly. Lana smiled without looking up. Just practicing, good for the brain, right? The explanation was casual, but the pen trembled slightly as she wrote. Thursday morning, Noah tugged on Lorraine's sleeve before school. Grandma, Mom was kinda mad last night. I only spilled a little milk and she told me to clean it up myself. She never gets mad like that. She was probably tired, honey, Lorraine said, smoothing his hair, but inside her pulse quickened. That night Daniel called again from a hotel in Paris. I saw her every day of the flight, he said. She wasn't just a passenger, she spoke to me in the galley, same voice, same perfume. Mom, I'm telling you it's Lana. Lorraine lowered her voice. She's here, Daniel. I just watched her put Noah to bed. Silence stretched across the ocean. Finally, Daniel said, then someone's lying to us, either her or someone who looks exactly like her. I don't like either option. Neither did Lorraine. Sleep became impossible. She began a small notebook, its first line written in a tight, deliberate script. Friday, 7:30 a.m. Lana leaves for the market, returns 10:05. Smiles less, left hand again. Each new entry pressed heavier on the page. Abrupt mood swings, sudden disappearances, unexplained errands. Lorraine never confronted her. Instead, she watched. She listened. She remembered. Years of quiet motherhood had taught her patience and how to collect evidence without anyone suspecting. Still, doubt crept in like a draft under the door. Was she imagining things? Was grief over her late husband clouding her judgment? But when Friday came, another neighbor, Mr. Jensen from the bakery, stopped her outside the shop. Your daughter-in-law bought bread for me twice this week, he said with a puzzled grin. Yesterday she was all smiles. Today, cold as stone. Didn't even say thank you. The stone in Lorraine's chest turned to ice. Back home, she set her notebook on the table and stared at the neat handwriting filling its first few pages. Each observation felt like a brick in a wall that was closing in. She could no longer pretend nothing was wrong. The cracks in her perfect family were widening, and whatever secret hid behind them was about to break open. The rain arrived on Saturday like an uninvited guest, steady, cold, relentless. By mid-afternoon, Lorraine Carter felt the walls of the house pressing closer. The ticking clock, the scent of damp wood, even the sound of Noah humming upstairs seemed to amplify the storm inside her chest. Her notebook lay open on the dining table, its pages crowded with neat, unwavering lines. Friday, Lana leaves at 2:15 p.m., returns 4:42 p.m., blue scarf, no explanation. Saturday, up before dawn, whispering on the phone. Left hand again. The evidence no longer looked like coincidence. It read like a confession. When Lana announced she needed to pick up special spices from a market across town, Lorraine felt a decision settle in her bones. I'll come with you, she said lightly, folding her shawl. Lana's eyes flickered just a heartbeat, but the smile returned almost too quickly. Oh, that's sweet, Mom, but it's a madhouse out there in the rain. I'll be back before dinner. Lorraine nodded, feigning agreement, and waited until the front door closed. The moment Lana's car turned the corner, Lorraine grabbed her umbrella and followed. The city streets shimmered with wet neon as she trailed the familiar gray sedan at a careful distance. The wipers beat a nervous rhythm. Every few blocks she rehearsed what she might say if discovered, but the words dissolved into the hiss of tires on rain-slick pavement. Lana drove past the busy farmers' market and kept going down narrower streets where the streetlights grew sparse and the pavement cracked like old porcelain. Finally, she slowed and parked near a row of faded brick buildings at the edge of a forgotten industrial block. Lorraine pulled over half a block away, heart hammering. She waited, watching through the misted windshield. Lana stepped out, hood pulled tight, and moved with quick, certain strides, not a glance behind her. Lorraine followed on foot, the rain soaking the hem of her coat. The neighborhood felt like a different world. Shuttered garages, graffiti-scarred doors. The smell of wet iron and distant smoke. A stray cat darted across her path, making her flinch. Then she saw Lana stop before a weather-beaten wooden door marked 27. No sign, no light. Lana knocked softly 3 short raps before slipping inside. The door closed without a sound. Lorraine stood frozen, the rain dripping from her umbrella in a steady patter. The entire street seemed to hold its breath. Minutes dragged. 10, 15, 20. Her mind raced through every possibility. A secret lover, a hidden job, a criminal scheme. None of it explained the impossible, Lana being in 2 places at once. She backed into the shadow of an old mechanic's shop as footsteps approached. A man emerged from a side alley, barely glancing at her. The scent of motor oil followed him. She waited until he disappeared around the corner, then stepped toward the door herself. Up close, the building smelled of damp wood and stale smoke. She pressed her ear to the crack. Faint voices, indistinct but female, floated through the rain. Her breath caught. A woman's laughter rang out, clear and familiar. Lorraine's stomach tightened. It was Lana's laugh, or something frighteningly close to it. Before she could knock, the door creaked open. A young woman stepped out carrying a paper bag of groceries. Her face, Lorraine's breath stalled, was almost identical to Lana's. The same high cheekbones. The same dark hair curling under the hood of her jacket. The stranger paused, startled to see Lorraine standing there. I'm sorry," Lorraine stammered, gripping the umbrella handle. "I think I'm lost." The young woman's eyes softened, but she said nothing. She nodded politely and hurried off into the rain, disappearing around the corner. Lorraine remained rooted to the spot, heart pounding so loud she feared it would echo through the alley. Was it Lana, a twin, an illusion? The door closed again, muffling the voices inside. By the time Lorraine reached home, the rain had slowed to a drizzle. But her mind stormed harder than ever. The house smelled of simmering stew. Lana was already back, hair dry, face serene as if she had never left. "Did you find your spices?" Lorraine asked, voice steady despite the tremor in her chest. "Perfectly," Lana replied with an easy smile. "Everything I need for dinner." She moved past Lorraine to hang her coat, humming the same unfamiliar tune. Not a single drop of rain clung to her shoes. Lorraine's fingers tightened around the umbrella handle. Her notebook waited on the table, but tonight words felt inadequate. Something far stranger than infidelity or secrets was unfolding in her home, and Lorraine knew she couldn't stop now. The next morning, sunlight slanted across Lorraine's kitchen like a question she couldn't answer. Sleep had come in snatches, half-dreams of wet alleys and identical faces that dissolved every time she reached for them. Lana breezed in, wearing a powder blue sweater and a smile that looked freshly ironed. "Morning, Mom," she said, kissing Noah's head as he worked a puzzle at the table. Her hair smelled faintly of citrus shampoo, not a trace of yesterday's rain. Lorraine forced a calm nod. "Morning." Her eyes lingered on the neatly folded cuffs of Lana's jeans, dry as bone. Mark joined them moments later, coffee in hand. "Big client lunch today," he said, barely glancing up from his phone. "Wish me luck." "Good luck, Dad," Noah chirped, grinning. Lorraine managed a small smile, but inside her thoughts tumbled like stones. Whoever she'd seen in that alley hadn't been a trick of the rain, she was sure of it. And until she knew the truth, every cheerful greeting in this house felt like a performance. By mid-afternoon, Lorraine's decision was made. She told Mark she was visiting a friend, then pulled on her raincoat and slipped her small notebook into her bag. The air outside carried a damp chill, the city still drying from yesterday's storm. The mechanic's shop near the alley looked the same, rusted signage, smell of oil and damp brick. Heart steadying. She crossed the cracked pavement and rapped softly on the door marked 27. For a moment nothing happened. Then the door opened a fraction and a cautious female voice asked, "Yes, I think we need to talk," Lorraine said. The door swung wider, revealing the young woman she'd seen before. Up close, the resemblance to Lana was even more unsettling, the same almond-shaped eyes, the same high cheekbones. Yet something gentler flickered there. Quiet shyness Lana never displayed. "I'm Lorraine Carter," she said, gripping her umbrella like a lifeline. "You look exactly like my daughter-in-law. I need to know who you are." The young woman hesitated, then stepped aside. "Come in, my name's Clara." The interior smelled faintly of disinfectant and coffee. Faded curtains filtered the gray light, a kettle hissed softly on a single-burner stove. In the corner, an older man coughed from a cot draped with a frayed blanket. Clara guided Lorraine to a wobbly chair. "I suppose you deserve an explanation," she said, voice low. Lorraine nodded, her heart thudding. "Please." Clara twisted her hands together. I never wanted to deceive anyone. Your daughter-in-law Lana, she approached me months ago. Said she needed someone who could stand in for her just for errands the occasional evening when she was busy. She offered more money than I'd ever seen. My father is sick. Clara's glance drifted to the man on the cot. We need medicine we can't afford. The words struck like a sudden gust, cold and undeniable. She pays you to pretend to be her, Lorraine asked. Clara nodded, shame flickering across her face. Sometimes it's just simple things, dropping off a dish to a neighbor, picking up bread. She said it was harmless. I didn't ask questions. Lorraine struggled to breathe evenly. Where is she when you take her place? Clara lowered her eyes. I don't know, she never tells me. She just says you just need to look like me and smile. That's it. The kettle whistled sharply, startling them both. Lorraine rose, her mind spinning through every conversation, every unexplained trip Lana had taken. Daniel's call from Paris, the dry shoes, the sudden mood swings. She's leading a double life, Lorraine murmured almost to herself. Clara's voice trembled. I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to hurt anyone. I just needed the money to keep my father alive. Lorraine placed a gentle hand on Clara's shoulder. You're not the one I'm angry with. But this can't continue. My son, my grandson, they deserve the truth. Clara blinked back tears. I'll help however I can. Lorraine exhaled, the decision forming with quiet certainty. Thank you, but we have to be careful. No one can know until the time is right. When Lorraine stepped back into the late afternoon light, the city seemed sharper, every color more vivid. The drizzle had stopped, but the scent of rain lingered like a warning. She turned toward home with a new, steady purpose. There would be no shouting, no reckless confrontation. That wasn't her way. Instead, she would gather proof, she would plan. And when the truth came to light, it would arrive in a way no one in her family would ever forget. Sunday arrived with a sky as clear and cold as polished glass. Lorraine Carter stood in the quiet kitchen, sleeves rolled and mind fixed on what had to be done. She moved like someone preparing for a holiday feast. But each motion carried a sharpened purpose. She laid a fresh white cloth across the dining table, smoothing the corners until they were perfect. Candles' ivory tapers were set in silver holders polished to a mirror shine. A bouquet of late-blooming lilies filled the room with a subtle, haunting perfume. The menu read like family tradition. Roasted chicken for Noah, Mark's favorite garlic potatoes, a salad bright with winter citrus. But beneath the hominess pulsed a tension Lorraine could feel in her bones. By late afternoon, the house filled with the aroma of slow-cooked herbs. Mark came in first, loosening his tie, surprised to see the table dressed so formally. Mom, what's the occasion? Just felt like a proper Sunday dinner, Lorraine said, her voice smooth as glass. It's been too long since we all sat together. He kissed her cheek, distracted but smiling. You spoil us. Lana arrived moments later, effortlessly elegant in a cream sweater dress. Her eyes swept the room, lingering for a heartbeat on the extra candles. This is beautiful, she said lightly. What are we celebrating? Family, Lorraine replied. Always worth celebrating. The meal unfolded with polite conversation, Noah chattering about a school art project, Mark recounting a near miss on a real estate deal. Lana listened with practiced warmth, refilling glasses, passing dishes. But Lorraine felt the undercurrent. Each time Lana smiled. The memory of Clara's tearful confession pulsed in Lorraine's mind. When dessert plates were cleared and the candles burned low, Lorraine placed her folded napkin beside her plate and said quietly, Before we finish, there's someone I'd like you all to meet. The room stilled, Mark frowned. Someone, Lorraine rose. Yes, someone important to the truth we live with in this house. She stepped to the hallway and opened the front door. Clara entered. The resemblance struck like a lightning flash. Two women identical in face and form stood inches apart. Noah's fork clattered to the floor. Why are there two moms? He blurted, voice small and bewildered. Mark's eyes widened, his color draining. What the Lana? Lana shot to her feet, chair scraping the wood. What is this? She demanded, voice sharp with panic. This, Lorraine said evenly, is the young woman you've been hiring to pretend to be you. Mark stared from one woman to the other, speechless. Clara shifted uncomfortably, but her chin lifted. It's true, she said softly. She paid me to stand in when she wanted to be somewhere else. No, Lana snapped, but the protest faltered. Lorraine laid a small stack of papers on the table, pages from her notebook, photographs taken with quiet precision, Clara's written statement. Daniel called me from Paris the night you were supposedly in the shower. He saw you board his flight. I have neighbors who have spoken with this young woman when you claim to be here. It's over, Lana. The silence was absolute, broken only by the faint hiss of candle wicks. Mark's voice finally emerged hoarse. Is it true? Lana's jaw tightened. You don't understand. Then explain, Lorraine said. Her tone was gentle but unyielding, but Lana's eyes hardened instead. Without another word, she snatched her coat from the back of the chair and strode toward the door. The slam echoed through the house like a gunshot. Noah burst into tears. Mark sat frozen, staring at the empty doorway as if the woman he loved might still reappear. Clara shifted back, tears glinting in her own eyes. Lorraine circled the table and knelt beside her grandson. It's okay, sweetheart, she whispered, gathering him into her arms. You didn't do anything wrong. Mark raked a trembling hand through his hair. Mom, how long? Long enough, Lorraine said softly. But we will face this together. That's what family does. Clara stepped forward, voice barely audible. I'm so sorry. I never wanted to hurt anyone. I needed the money to care for my father. She said no one would ever know. Lorraine met her eyes and nodded. You told the truth when it mattered. That takes courage. The candles guttered, their smoke curling toward the ceiling like a quiet benediction. Lorraine felt the storm inside her settle, replaced by something steadier, resolve. This night would not end the story of their family. It would begin a new one, honest, painful, but finally real. The house held its breath for days after Lana's departure. Mornings arrived without her brisk footsteps or the clink of her favorite coffee mug. Even the air felt different, lighter, yet pierced by an ache that settled in the walls. Lorraine moved through each room like a silent caretaker, folding laundry, tending the garden, cooking meals that filled the space with warmth. But beneath her calm exterior lived a steady current of purpose. What had shattered could not stay scattered. Mark hardly spoke the first week. He sat on the back porch at dawn, staring across the yard as if waiting for answers to bloom with the roses. At night, the flicker of the television went unwatched while he rubbed his temples in silence. One evening, Lorraine carried out 2 cups of chamomile tea. You're allowed to grieve, she said gently, placing a hand on her son's shoulder. He nodded, eyes red from sleeplessness. I keep asking what I missed. How could I not see it? Because you trusted, Lorraine replied. That isn't a weakness, Mark. It's the heart of love. She betrayed that, not you. His shoulders sagged. Noah keeps asking when she's coming home. I don't know what to tell him. We tell him the truth, Lorraine said softly. But we also show him that love doesn't vanish when someone leaves. Noah, resilient yet wounded, clung to his grandmother. He slipped into her lap at bedtime, small arms around her waist. Grandma, he whispered one night. Will Mommy ever be nice again? Lorraine kissed his forehead. Your mom is finding her own path right now, but you and I will always be here for each other, and Daddy will always love you. His little hand tightened in hers. Promise, promise, she said, holding him until his breathing slowed into sleep. A week later, Clara came by carrying a paper bag of pastries from the corner bakery. Her eyes flickered with uncertainty. I wasn't sure if I should come, she admitted. Lorraine welcomed her with a warm smile. You told the truth when it mattered. That means something here. Mark appeared in the doorway, hesitant. Clara faced him squarely. I'm so sorry for everything, she said. I thought it was harmless. I never imagined the hurt it would cause. Mark studied her, then gave a slow nod. You cared for your father. I can't blame someone for fighting to save family. The tension eased like a long exhale. Weeks passed, and small routines began to knit them together. Clara visited often, sometimes helping Noah with homework, sometimes sharing quiet coffee with Lorraine while the boy played in the yard. Her laugh, softer than Lana's but full of life, began to brighten the house. One evening, Mark invited Clara to stay for dinner. Conversation flowed more easily than Lorraine had dared to hope. Stories of childhood, shared recipes, quiet laughter that felt like the first warm breeze of spring. Later, as Lorraine washed dishes, Mark lingered beside her. Mom, he said, almost shy. Clara, she's different. Honest, kind. Lorraine dried her hands and met his eyes. Good hearts recognize each other, son. Give it time, let it grow naturally. Months slipped by. The garden bloomed in riotous color. Noah's drawings filled the refrigerator door, and the house no longer felt haunted. Clara's visits became a gentle rhythm, and Mark's guarded smile slowly returned. One night, while the crickets sang outside, Mark appeared in the living room holding a small velvet box. His voice wavered. Mom, I think I've found someone who sees us for who we really are. Clara stood beside him, eyes shining. Lorraine's throat tightened with a rush of quiet joy. Then you found something worth keeping, she said. Later, when the house was still, Lorraine stepped onto the porch. The moon hung full over the garden, silvering the roses her late husband once tended. She thought of Daniel, still soaring across continents, of Mark rebuilding a life from broken trust, of Noah dreaming upstairs with a child's unguarded heart. She whispered to the night, respect must be given freely, not begged for after the damage is done. The wind carried the words through the magnolias, a promise to the past and a benediction for the future. Lorraine had never needed a courtroom or a public scene. Her quiet justice had spoken louder than anger ever could, and in its wake grew something stronger than vengeance, grace. The family she protected was whole again, not because betrayal had vanished, but because love had proven itself unshakable. The end of this chapter is only the beginning of their new life, a life rebuilt on truth, quiet strength, and the enduring power of a grandmother's heart. Before we wrap up, remember this: silence never protects the heart, truth does. Real love demands respect, and respect must come first, not after the damage is done. And most importantly, I kept myself. Did you like my story? Which city are you listening from? Let's meet in the comments. I'm excited to hear your thoughts. If you enjoyed this story, you can support me by sending a super thanks so I can keep bringing more stories like this. Thank you so much for your sweet support. It means the world to me. On the screen, you'll see 2 new life stories I highly recommend. There's so much more waiting on my channel, Loving Truth Stories. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss the next inspiring chapter of courage, justice, and hope, with love and respect. Loving Truth Stories, see you in the next life story.